Hello, everyone. Welcome to Stotz Dairy Virtual Chat. I am Leanne with the Discover Dairy program, and we are so excited that you are joining us as we get to meet Farmer Jen and, of course, our adorable calves, Alex, Kit Kat, and Roberta. First, this live chat is part of the Adopt a Cow program, and more than 40,000 teachers and 1 million students every year join the fund for free, thanks to generous supporters like the Dairy Management West and the Dairy Excellence Foundation. The Adopt a Cow and Discover Dairy programs are a free online resource that covers Common Core standards in science, reading, and math while using dairy concepts to teach the lessons. The resources can be found at www.discoverdairy.com. We would also love for you to join the Adopt a Cow program fund next year. So if you're interested in joining again or are new to the program and want to join the fund, registration and re-enrollment opens on May 1st, which is just a couple of days away. And you can go to discoverdairy.com/adopt to log in and re-enroll. Next, as everyone continues to join us live today, we are super excited that you will see the chat feature is enabled. So please feel free to use the chat feature to comment or ask questions throughout the chat. But we do ask that you keep all questions and comments related to our chat and that they are all school appropriate. We are very excited to hear your questions, and Farmer Jen has already told me she is so super excited to answer all your questions. Before we get started, let's see who's joining us today. So it looks like we have so many folks today. Miss Sense's class from Albuquerque, New Mexico, welcome, and thank you so much for being here. We have Miss Gerber's class from Phoenix, Arizona, her kindergarten class. Hello, everyone. Miss Gillen's class from Gold Canyon, Arizona. Welcome, welcome. Miss Wiggins' second grade class from Gilbert, Arizona. Oh, we have so many friends joining us today. We're so excited. Miss Eaton's class from Goodyear, Arizona. Let's do a couple more. Let me see. We've got Miss Weber's class, her first grade class from Hobbs, New Mexico. And we've also got Miss Lewis's third grade class in Florence, Arizona. So we are so excited for you all to join us. Thank you so much for being here. And with that, I am so thrilled to be able to introduce you to Farmer Jen. Farmer Jen, how are you doing today?
I am doing great. How is everybody doing? I hope you guys are all doing good. It is a perfect Arizona day out here towards the end of April. And I have Roberta here with me. Alex was here a second ago, but she walked over to the shade. Oh, she heard it's her cue. As the blackest cow out of the three, she spends the most time in the shade because she's the one that gets the hottest. And then we got Kit Kat laying down over there above the pile of manure because that's what we just said. It's funny, she's using it as a pillow because cows are crazy and they do crazy things. Yeah, so I am so excited to talk to you guys about the 3 cows that we have this year for Adopt a Cow. I guess the first thing I'd like to tell you, for everybody who was in the program last year and knew that my daughter Lucy had leukemia, she is actually doing great now. We just had an appointment with her doctor, and they are saying that she's in full remission. Praise God. Everything seems to be going good, and it looks good that she has beat it and is good to go. And that actually leads into how we named these 3 cows, because every year I try and think of names that we should name the cows. I ask my kids, they give me weird names like Fluffy, and I'm like, no, we can come up with something better than that. So this year, I actually named the 3 calves after my 3 favorite of her doctors at Phoenix Children's Hospital. So we have right here, Dr. Roberta Adams, and we have Dr. Alex Mbongwe, and then was named after Dr. Muhammad Sino, and we thought it would be really weird to name a calf Sino, so he told us to name it after his favorite candy bar, which is Kit Kat. So that's how the 3 calves got their names this year. And for everybody that adopted Kit Kat and knows that she broke her hip earlier this year, she's actually doing really good. She walks a little bit interestingly, but it's cute. It's almost like she's dancing when she walks. And you can see, get her to walk around a little bit. She can even jump. but she is doing great, and she is going to get to be able to friends. I was a little bit worried there for a while that we were going to have to sell her to a friend of mine that has a small horse property, that was thinking that maybe she would want to keep it as a pet. But luckily, Kit Kat is doing well enough that she's going to be able to hang out on the dairy with everybody else. And that actually goes on to one of the vets that we have hired at the dairy. Here, we'll get the calves in the picture too. There's a couple of vets that we have hired at the dairy, and one of the vets sounds like maybe I'm breaking up a little bit.
Farmer Jen, you were cutting out on us
me?
just a little bit. Yes, ma'am. You were just cutting out a little bit. You were just talking about some of the vets on the farm and how they were able to help. Yep. If you want to come back in, I think you're good.
You can hear me now?
Yes,
all right,
ma'am.
Sorry, there's a shade over there. We put shade for all of the cows on the dairy. And unfortunately, being as far away from town as we are, we probably have like a single cell tower providing service. So like I said, hopefully a bird too big doesn't fly by and cut reception again. But yeah, so there was one of the vets on the dairy in particular who actually used to work with horses and is used to animals breaking legs, because I guess horses break their legs a lot. And so she has specialty in dealing with broken legs, and she managed to pull Kit Kat through and get her on the mend. So I'd like to say a special thank you to our veterinarian, Fernanda, who managed to save Kit Kat's leg and make sure that she is going to live a long, healthy life on the dairy. So anyways, you can see them over there. Sorry, go ahead.
No, I was just going to say that is excellent. Mrs. Lerma's first grade class from Desert Thunder, Goodyear, is very excited that Kit Kat is doing well.
I am very excited too. I was a little bit worried that she was going to have to go live on my friend's property, but she lives way up north near Prescott, and I was worried that I would never get to see her that often, but now she gets to live on the dairy, and I'll get to see her whenever I want. But so you can see they're over there hanging out in the shade because it's getting a little hot out here. I know one of the questions you guys always want to know is how big the calves are. And I guess I should have weighed them this morning. We actually used a tape measure to weigh them. So there is a tape measure, and on one side it has inches, but on the other side it actually has pounds. And what they did, there's a group of students, I think at Penn State University, and they weighed like thousands of cows. And every time they weighed one on the scale, they would measure her right here around her stomach to see how big she was around. And they started finding there was a correlation that if there was a cow that weighed, say, 500 pounds, it would always be the exact same number of inches around herself right here. So they made these tape measures now that instead of having to tell a cow, like, hey, let me get out the bathroom scale and you have to stand on it, we can just wrap the tape measure around her right here and find out how big she is. So I probably should have done that this morning so I could tell you, but just 150. Okay, can you hear me?
We heard, yep. Last thing we heard was that you should have gotten a tape measure out this morning, but you didn't. So we'd only missed the last few.
But just from what I know, the past, these calves probably weigh around 650 pounds, and probably all 4 inches right now. We say 44 inches, we say right there at the top of their back, kind of where their shoulders come up together. So where their 2 front legs come up together and there's like a little point, we take a height stick and we measure them right there to see how tall they are. And we actually measure our calves.
Oh, Farmer Jen, you cut out again. You cut out for just a second. You were talking about you're talking about their height and how you measure their height. Oh, sorry, Farmer Jen, you're still cutting out, but we do see the feed mixer in the background, and that is so cool.
Oh, you're live.
Okay. Can you hear me now?
Yes, ma'am. Loud and clear.
Okay, perfect. Sorry, we switched headphones, so maybe I'll be better now. Okay, so it's very important on these cows that we are feeding them a balanced nutrition, where we have 2 different nutritionists that work with the dairy, and they are calculating, they take samples of all the food, they put it through a lab, and they're testing it for all the vitamins and minerals and nutrients that the cows will need. And we're actually calculating it to within like 0.2 of a percentage of what they will need for every single vitamin. And the way that we make sure that that's happening is that they're growing appropriately where their weight and their height are correlated, because we don't want a bunch of cows that are short and really fat or a bunch that are super tall but too skinny. We want them to be the right proportion. So one way you do that is that we measure them all the time. We send all of the heights and weights into the nutritionist and the veterinarian, and they make sure that what they are weighing is what they should be weighing, and how tall they are is how tall they should be. So,
Farmer
and hi,
Jen,
Alex.
that is so cool. I think one of the things that I love the most when we're able to talk to all of our farms is just how similar the care for cows is as the care for humans. They have vets, doctors. What other kind of things do the cows get that are similar to how we would care for humans?
That is a great question. So one thing that the calves don't like, probably just as much as you kids don't like, is that they also get shots for vaccinations. So they have a shot schedule. They actually get their first vaccine when they are less than 5 minutes old. And luckily for them, that one isn't a shot. That one is a vaccine that they can drink. And we squirt it in their mouth underneath their tongue. And it's to help them so that they don't get diarrhea really bad when they're a calf. But then they also get different kinds of ones. So another one that they get, we actually squirt it up their nose. So it's 1 cc per nose hole. And it's to help to make sure that they don't get pneumonia. But yeah, calves get shots. They get vaccines all the time, just like you do. They have to go see the veterinarian periodically. They get weighed and measured. There's a lot of stuff that is similar between calves that there are between cows. So it's funny, like one of the things I always say, especially when I'm talking about the adopted calves, is where they live. We kind of talk about it in terms of school. So like we have the cow daycare. This is what I consider cow elementary school. These three are actually going to be graduating to cow high school tomorrow. We were supposed to graduate with the rest of their class last week, but I held them back a week so that we could do this over here, because over there in cow high school, which is kind of across the fence, the pens are a lot bigger. They're pens that are meant for about 200 cows each. And if I tried to do this in a pen with 200 cows, the cows would be mobbing us and knocking us over. And you see how Alex keeps trying to eat my shirt right now. Earlier, Roberta was trying to eat the camera woman's shirt. And if we did this in a pen with 200 cows, we would just be absolutely mobbed by all of the cows who were trying to get in on this action. So we left these three. They got retained for a couple of weeks, a week, but they'll be graduating tomorrow.
So speaking of the things that Alex is wanting to eat, yes. Mr. Younger's class, who adopted Alex, wanted to know, do the calves eat grass, and what other foods do they eat?
So the calves do not eat, well, they eat something, it's kind of like a grass. It's called alfalfa. You guys might call it hay. Their main diet, most of what they eat is going to be hay. And then they also eat calf grain that we make in-house. And so that's a mixture of corn, molasses, which is like the syrup that you would put on your pancakes, and then a special mineral blend. It's vitamins and minerals and all of the stuff that we need to make sure that they grow big and healthy. And we mix it all together. Here, I'll take a handful of it so you guys can see it. It's all on the other side of the fence, but that's what cow food looks like. So it's got the hay in it, it's got the grain in it, and it's all mixed together because cows can be really picky, just like kids can be picky. And if you don't mix it up together so that they get a full mouthful, then they'll start sorting through it and they'll only eat the parts that they like. We actually had a cow in the dairy that was kind of famous for our dairy. We used to be able to feed carrots when people grew carrots in Arizona. We have a hard time doing that now because the land that the carrots were grown on got sold to development. But there was one cow that would just start at one end of the pen and she would eat all the carrots, and then she would back up and go to the next spot down and eat all the carrots, and she would just go down the line eating all of the carrots that she could. And it was getting to be a problem because I was like, she's going to turn orange. Like, this cow that's all she's living on right now is carrots. But cows are definitely picky eaters, and if they don't like it, they'll sort through it and eat the part that they like. I was talking earlier, my daughter has her 2 4-H heifers that are over there in the corner pen. Their names are Helena and Estrella. And the way that we have taught them to train them is that we give them calf grain that has extra molasses in it. And it's like giving a kid a pancake that has extra syrup all over it. And those cows will do whatever it takes to get more grain with molasses on it. And so it's like when we try and load them on the trailer for the first time, and it's a little bit scary because they've never been on the trailer. But if you put a little bit of molasses in there, they just jump right on. So yeah, that's what cows eat.
That is so cool that they have a food that every bite gives them all of the minerals, all of the nutrients, everything that they need to be able to ultimately grow up and provide this amazing product that we all love, like that milk, cheese, yogurt, especially ice cream, especially on warm days like today.
Yeah. And their food
So
does change. So one thing, I guess their food does change. Every time they get a little bit older, their food changes to make sure that we're meeting their nutritional needs at how old they are at that time. So right now they're getting calf mineral when they get older, and then they'll get something that's called heifer mineral. And then once they become a cow, because they had their first baby, they'll get cow mineral. So it changes depending on how old they are.
So, kind of talking about how old they are, can you give us an idea of what a day in their life looks like?
Well, for a calf, their whole day is that they hang out with their friends in their pen and they eat and they drink and they poop a lot. As you can see, there's a lot of poop around here and they just hang out. When they are a cow, their day is a little bit more structured. So 3 times a day, they'll go to the milk barn to get milked. They're in the milk barn for about an hour to an hour and a half. And most of that time is just standing in line, waiting their turn to get on the machine or to get to the milking machine. It's kind of like on Disneyland, how you have to stand in line for an hour to get on the ride. And that's how they feel about it. They're all excited to go get milked, and they are impatiently waiting in line for their turn to get onto the milking machine ride. When they get done, they go out to their pen. While they were in the milk barn, the feeder would have passed by with the tractor and put fresh food out for them because they get fed 3 times a day. The pen groomer would have come out and cleaned out their beds for them. Oh, and you're going to make a noise now, huh? Can you not? Hey, we're trying to be live right now. Thank you. Sorry. And then also we will have set the headlocks. You can see these. We can set these so that if they lock, that once the cow puts her head in, it doesn't unlock. And that's for the cow's safety and for the employee's safety, because if we need to vaccinate them or we need to treat them because they're sick or anything like that, we don't want them to be able to run away and have the employee trying to chase them down with the medicine that they need. So if they put their head through, it just makes it so they can't back out while we're working with them, and then we let it go, and then she can go do whatever she wants. So they will be over there. So 3 times a day, yeah, they go to the milk barn, they come back, and then they hang out. So the cows are really only at work for at most 3 to 5 hours a day. It's a pretty good job for them.
Sounds like I should have been born a cow. That's what I'm getting from this. So
You'd probably work a lot less. Yes.
so you talked about all of the different things that you need to do to take care of all of the calves, our adopted calves, and also all of the cows. Can you tell us how many cows do you have on your farm, and how many pens do you have in total to keep all of those cows and calves contained?
So at our highest point, we actually had around 22,000 total cows. And that would be all the cows, considering milking cows and the baby cows and the teenager cows. Milk prices are a little bit low right now. And so we've sold some of the cows, and there was a dairy over, actually over in, where was it? It wasn't Saudi Arabia, but it was somewhere over by Saudi Arabia that ended up buying 800 cows from us. And so they had to get on a boat and sail all the way over there. So we're down a little bit right now. I think we have right around 14,000 cows total right now. And around 7,000 of those are 7,000 are milking. We have 2 different dairies. So we are on the older dairy right now. Normally I would do the Adopt a Calf program on the newer dairy, but I don't know, I just changed it up this year. And then on this dairy, we have, what do we have? We have 58 pens on this dairy. And on that dairy, we have 76 pens. And so we're able to group the cows by, oh, and here comes the feed wagon. So it might be a little bit loud, but you guys will get to see that is the feed wagon. one of our employees named Dodo is driving it. The whole back, the wagon part will be full of all of the hay and vitamins and minerals and all the other byproducts that cows eat to make part of the ration. So I guess I could talk about that too really quick. So a lot of what cows eat is stuff that would otherwise end up in a dump. And a lot of it would end up in a dump because it's stuff that's a byproduct of the human, either food or clothing cycle. So like, if you guys know what almonds are, you eat almonds. Well, almonds actually come in both a shell and a hull when it comes off the tree. So if you pick an almond off a tree, it actually has like a little leathery container. If you rip that off, underneath is the shell. And if you rip that off is the nut. So it used to be that the farmers that were growing the almonds would just throw away the holes in the shells, but they were throwing them in the dump and it was costing a lot. It was filling up the landfills and it was just kind of wasteful. So someone at one point said, I wonder if cows could eat this. And they tried it, and it's actually a great protein source if you have the 4 parts of a stomach that cows have. And so now we feed it to cows. And the same thing, we feed our cows cottonseed, which is the part of the cotton that is left over after they take off the cotton that they use to make your clothes. We feed mill run, we feed distillers. Oh, one thing that you guys might like, we feed a lot of stuff that's called bakery. And it's basically the big commercial bakeries. So think like Hostess, like, I don't know, maybe like Krispy Kreme, that kind of thing. If they have any expired products or maybe they overcooked a batch and it got burned, then they'll blend it all up into a powder and they ship it to us and we feed it to the cows. Another cool thing that we do, we work with all the local Walmarts and Sam's Clubs, and any fruits and vegetables that they can't sell because they're ugly or bruised or maybe they've just gone bad, but they're still good enough for cows, we will feed it to the cows. So the cows are actually eating about 40% of their food is products that would otherwise end up in a dump. So everybody always says that you need to reduce, reuse, recycle. Cows are complete experts at that. And luckily for us, they are able to turn it into, like you said, milk, cheese, ice cream, all those great dairy products. And I know because it always gets asked, where do we sell our milk? And that is a great question. So we actually market all of our milk through our co-op, which is United Dairymen of Arizona, best co-op in the world, if I do say so myself. But all of our milk right now is going to Fairlife. Fairlife is the company that is famous for having made the milk that is without lactose. So even if you're lactose intolerant, you can still drink Fairlife milk. They built a new plant right over there off the 303 in Goodyear. Yeah, in Goodyear. And we are one of the closer dairies to that plant. So all of our milk goes to the Fairlife. So if you ever go to the grocery store and you see a bottle of Fairlife milk, there's probably a 33% chance that if you're west of the Mississippi, it came from our dairy.
That is so cool. I have heard of cows being called the great upcyclers, and I just absolutely love that. And I love how you broke all of that down. That is just so very cool. Thank you for walking us through that. We had a question in the chat, and with so many cows on your farm, how many babies are born? How many calves are born in a month on your farm?
Oh, in a month. Gosh, you know what? That is a great question.
Or a day, if that would be an easier question.
I actually think about it on a per day basis. We have 2 different kinds of babies that are born on the dairy. We have the dairy heifers that will be kept here and raised here and will grow up here just like Alex, Roberta, and Kit Kat will be, and they'll end up being cows. We also crossbreed some of our cows to beef, and so that means that they are getting the baby that they have will be a beef breed cow, either like a Wagyu or a Charolais or a Black Angus. And then we sell those when they're a day old to a local beef rancher, and he raises them up until they are a couple years old, and then they get turned into beef. But the number of cows that we have a day right now is our slow calving season. And I think we are having about 15 calves a day born on the dairy. In our heavy calving season, which is at the very end of summer into the beginning of fall, we're having closer to 60 calves a day born on the dairy. It gets a little, I always call it the calvalanche when it's that time of year, because it's an avalanche of calves that are just popping out and we're just trying to figure out where to put them all.
So if we have classrooms who are joining us with 20 kids in their class, that would be 3 classrooms every single day of babies being born. That is so awesome.
Exactly. Yes.
Farmer Jen,
Honest.
we have
Yeah.
time for just a couple more questions.
Okay.
Before we do that, Miss Shalito's class was wondering if we could get a picture of Roberta. It looks like maybe she's kind of trying to hide.
Roberta is right here. She's the
There
one
we
in the middle.
go. Perfect. Um, the one
And
of the
yeah,
last.
right. I have to apologize. They're all covered in flies right now. We spray for flies once a week, and the once a week is Tuesday. So the worst amount of flies that we're going to have is today. And I probably should have thought about that and scheduled this for a Tuesday, but I wasn't thinking that far ahead. But yes, we do our part to keep the fly population down. Every Tuesday, we have a company that comes out and sprays for flies just because we're trying to do the right thing for our cows and our employees and also our neighbors. We don't want to be known as the dairy that is covered in flies. So we do everything we can to be good neighbors for all of the people who live around us.
That is so great. Miss Weber's class says that they love that the cows recycle and they love that you take such great care of your cows, and we love that too. If we could get a close up of Alex and a close up of, I guess, all three. We'll do Kit Kat, Roberta, and Alex.
Here's Alex right now. Alex is always the one that wants to start trying to eat my shirt. Alex is, yeah. And then
there she is.
Yep.
Farmer Jen, can you tell us a little bit about what those numbers are in their ears? I see that they have a purple tag and a yellow tag.
So the yellow tag is actually the tag that they'll have their whole life. And when they're born, we assign them the number chronologically of which one 40 years ago when my dad started the dairy, or I guess no, it would be, because what, I'm 41 and my dad started the dairy 2 years before I was born. So 43 years ago, he started the dairy with 500 cows. And the first one that came off the trailer was cow number 1. And we've just numbered them chronologically ever since then. So now we're up to 98,145 is Kit Kat. The calves that are in the calf barn right now are getting numbers 99,000. And that was actually a big question is, do we go into the 100,000s or do we go back to 1? And like I said, I'm 41 and I'm starting to get old and my eyes aren't working very good. And so I decided we're going back to 1 because it's really hard for me to see these cow numbers. If they're already 5 digits, it's going to be really hard if I see them if they're 6 digits. And then these 3 adopted cows got the special purple ear tag just because they're in the Adopt a Calf program. So I wanted everybody to make sure that they knew them when I was taking pictures and videos in the pen, which one was their cow. So we put the purple ear tag with their name on it.
Awesome.
But
thank you.
Not every cow in the dairy gets a name just because it would be difficult to think of, like I said, there's 15 to 60 calves a day born on the dairy. And if I had to think of 60 cow names a day, I would run out of names really fast. So I give some of my favorite cows names. My daughter's 4-H projects always get names. The Adopt a Calves get names. And then sometimes cows that stand out for whatever reason, they'll get a name. But not every cow gets a name.
Farmer Jen, this has been a wonderful afternoon we've been able to spend together. Thank you so much. I am so sad to say that we're at the end of our time. Before we close out today, I just really want to know your why. Why are you a farmer and what made you decide that this is what you wanted to do and follow this path in life?
Again, great question. So I grew up on the dairy. I was born here. My dad would take me to work all the time. My mom took me to work when she worked in the calf barn. There's a story about me when I was a couple of years old telling her I was thirsty and her telling me to hold on. And when she turned around, I was drinking out of a water trough. So, it's in my blood. And I wasn't always sure that I wanted to do this. And for a while, I actually went and worked for a bank. But after a couple of years of doing that, I realized that, I love being outside. I love working with the cows. I love that I work in a job that, during COVID, we all learned there's something called an essential job. And I think what's more essential than doing a job that feeds people? Because, the one thing that everybody needs to do is eat. So I guess it boils down to, I love working in a job that's outside. I get to work with my family. It's with the cows. It's something that you asked me is simple and I'm just going on and on. But every day is a different day because there's always new challenges. And The one thing working with cows has taught me is that there is no end to the mischief that they can get into. And I mean, it just makes it interesting. I'm never bored out here. So, and I get to do something so fulfilling as putting food on everybody's plate. What's not to love? I guess you could ask me what I don't love about the dairy, and I'd say I don't like that there's so many flies. But other than that, I mean, I love everything about it out here. So yeah, the easier question would be what don't you like about working on the dairy? Because then I could say the flies. Other than that, I love it here.
Thank you so much, Farmer Jen. This was a wonderful experience. We learned so much information from you and from our adopted calves. We cannot thank you enough for this awesome experience. Friends, thank you so much for joining us today. It was absolutely amazing being with you. Do not forget that May 1st, our enrollment for next year's Adopted Cow program is going to be up and live. Make sure if you would like to re-enroll or enroll for the first time that you take advantage of that date on May 1st. It's coming up. Thank you so much, everyone, and we will see you next time. Have a great day.